Hello! In the second part of the tutorial on the Schillinger hybrid 4-part harmony technique, there will be more chord progression examples, voice leading aspects when connecting extended chords, and 2 short composition examples. Application of the Schillinger hybrid 4-part harmony technique will be demonstrated with a waltz for chamber orchestra, and a short synthesizer texture with up-tempo rock groove. I'll start with a recap of the essentials from the previous episode that introduced the Schillinger hybrid 4-part harmony technique. This subject belongs to the Schillinger special theory of harmony, where chords are built in thirds and are derived from a 7-pitch diatonic scale. Extended chords, containing the dissonant chordal functions 7, 9 or 11, require careful preparation and resolution. 9th and 11th chords may be used only in single occurrence. Triads and 7th chords may be used in series. On my channel there is a whole series of tutorials on this subject. For writing progressions with multiple extended chords, we may use the hybrid harmony technique, which consists of a 2-layer approach, with root in the bass and 3 or 4 parts in the upper layer. There's a finite set of upper layer chord structures without strict voice leading limitations in chord connections. Let's have a brief look at the finite set of hybrid 4-part structures as presented in part 1. In this diagram we recognize the 2-layer approach with the chord root in the bass and the higher chordal functions in the upper layer. There are 9 possible chord structures with tension number between 5 and 13 and with 4 less commonly used forms. These 9 options are shown here in staff notation for major chords on root C. The chord tension level is shown below the staff. At the top we see the upper layer chordal function numbers, and I've also indicated the best equivalent diatonic chord. Let's play these chords. We already saw example chord progressions with hybrid 4-part harmony in part 1, but here we'll discuss additional aspects when connecting chords. This diagram lists the degrees of freedom for designing a chord progression. These are the system of harmony, the chord structure tension and type. The latter 2 may be constant or variable. All chords in the progression may be 7th chords, or vary between tension level 5 and 13. We may use, say, augmented triads only, or use different chord types in the progression. We may write a series of extended chords in either the diatonic or symmetric system of harmony, where the latter is based on a set of roots involving equal division of the octave. For progressions in the diatonic system, we use the example scale on tonic root E, presented here. The first example progression demonstrates hybrid harmony in the 3 possible systems of harmony, that is, diatonic, symmetric and diatonic symmetric. The diatonic sections use positive root cycles only. Roots are from the given diatonic scale, with the example opening and closing on tonic degree pitch E. In the opening section, the tension is variable, with 1 S9 chord and 3 triads. The symmetric section with roots A, F sharp, E flat and C forming a diminished 7th chords are constant tension 9 chords, while the closing section again is using variable tension. There are 4 different chord types in section 1, 2 forms of the dominant 9th chord in section 2 and 3 types in the closing section. Voice leading is determined by the chord connections, also known as transformations. There are 6 options for connecting the 3-part upper layer structures. Let's label these parts in ascending order, P1 to P3, and connect a source structure S1 with the destination chord S2. The 6 voice leading options for doing so are clockwise, counterclockwise, and 4 complete or partially parallel motion alternatives. I've discussed these options more extensively in another video tutorial, but will show the essentials once again here. The transformation type is shown at the top, here clockwise and counterclockwise, which involves a cyclic permutation of the 3 upper layer parts P1 to P3. Here's the overview of dissonant chordal function preparation and resolution in this example progression. Note the many cases of irregular dissonance handling, such as higher functions 9 and 11 resolving by ascending motion. This non-smooth voice leading will disturb the diatonic mood of the progression, but it is allowed in the hybrid harmony technique. And now let's listen to this example. In progression example 2, we focus on the symmetric system of harmony, R-2I, with the roots forming an ascending whole tone scale. There's a variable tension with alternating S7 and S11 chord structures. The example uses 4 chord types, including the half diminished 7th chord, the dominant 9 sus4 chord, and the minor 7th chord. The transformation is based on alternating complete parallel motion and clockwise cyclic part permutation, as I will illustrate now. Note the opening close position triad in the upper layer, with labels P1 to P3 from bottom to top. We maintain this order going to the 2nd chord, also a close position triad. The clockwise permutation will modify the order of the part labels and yield an upper layer triad in first inversion position. Note the overall closing contrary motion trend of this example progression. The voice leading is shown here, with many irregular dissonance preparations and regular stepwise descending resolutions. In example 3, we return to the diatonic system of harmony, with the progression opening and closing on the tonic pitch E. I'll demonstrate the effect of alternative transformations. Looking at the diatonic roots, we see positive root cycles only, with one exception. There's a variable tension between S5 and S11. This progression uses 2 transformation types, clockwise cyclic part permutation and fully parallel motion, labeled with constant P1 to 3. Once again, starting with a close position upper layer triad in the opening chord, the order of the part is modified through cyclic permutation when connecting with the next chord, now a first inversion triad. The next clockwise transformation yields a second inversion triad. The order of the 3 part labels P1, P2 and P3 is maintained in the following fully parallel connection. Note that the pitches themselves may change, but the order of the upper layer chordal functions is identical. The voice leading for this example has many regular dissonant chordal function preparations and resolutions, involving stepwise motion. As an alternative, we rewrite this progression for a different transformation type. We have the same roots, chord tension and types as in the previous example. However, this time we use a partially parallel transformation with constant P1. Since we start from a closed position triad in the opening chord, the lowest upper chordal function pitch will remain in the lowest part of the upper layer, here indicated by the magenta line segments. The two other functions will swap when connecting chords. This has a significant effect on the voice leading that now contains many leaps. The two upper parts alternate between consonant thirds and sixths. The upper layer triad has many open position voicings. This no longer is smooth voice leading and will sound different from the typical classical music harmony progression. However, this approach is allowed as a voice leading solution in hybrid harmony. Let's try another partially parallel transformation type, now fixing the middle part in the upper layer, labeled as constant P2. The colored line once again shows the constant middle part in the chord connections, while the outer parts P1 and P3 are swapped. This yields alternating close and open position upper layer triads, involving many leaps in dissonance preparation and resolution. This is another non-standard setting. But you'll begin to understand the enormous freedom in designing hybrid harmony progressions. Transformation types were only slightly touched upon in part 1 from this tutorial series. Listen to this example that also displays quite some parallel motion between the outer parts, an aspect that might be improved. In progression 4, I want to demonstrate another voice leading aspect when writing hybrid harmony in the diatonic system of harmony. Our example is in C major, opens and closes on the tonic degree, and there's a strong 2-5-1 closing cadence. Root cycles are positive, with one exception in the middle. We use a variable tension between 7th chords and S13. Transformation types are shown at the top. And here's the warning that Schillinger issued in the diatonic context. When writing the upper layer voice leading, parallel dissonant 7th or 9th intervals with root may emerge. These are to be avoided. Inspecting the voice leading, we see many irregular preparations and resolutions by leap. But also we see a number of dissonant parallels between root and one or more upper layer parts, marked here with red arrows. Listen to this texture. Here's a somewhat improved voice leading that has eliminated most of the parallel 7th and 9th with the bass, although there's a few left or newly created. The overall voice leading also has improved significantly. There now is a smoother diatonic texture with much stepwise motion. Listen to the modified example and pay attention to the remaining parallels. Although these are to be avoided in classical tonal harmony, they may be perfectly acceptable in an impressionistic, jazz or pop music idiom. I just wanted to point out this Schillinger warning. and you should be aware of when they are occurring in your hybrid harmony writing. Now let's demonstrate the application of the hybrid harmony technique in two short composition examples. The first is a 1.5 minute long waltz that combines traditional diatonic harmony with two sections of hybrid harmony in both the diatonic symmetric and the symmetric system. The instrumentation involves a chamber orchestra. Here's the 21 measures long chord progression with 3 diatonic sections framed in green and intertwined with 2 hybrid harmony sections. We move through the keys F minor, F major and D flat major. The diatonic sections contain inversions and single occurrences of extended chords. The first hybrid harmony section is in the diatonic symmetric system, with constant tension S9, variable chord types minor and major ninth chords, and non-smooth, irregular voice leading. Then there's hybrid 4-part harmony in the symmetric system, with a set of roots along an ascending whole tone scale. Now we have variable tension between S9 and S13, and a more regular voice leading. Here's the reworking of the chord progression for chamber orchestra. Read along with the annotated condensed score. The next example yields an up-tempo 16th note rock groove in A major. Again, we write 2 sections with hybrid harmony. The instrumentation now is dominated by synthesizers. The diatonic framework shows a simple 1-4-5-1 cadence in A major. Harmonies are not in thirds. Instead, I use more modern pop and modal chords such as the added 9 and the sus2 and sus4 chords. The first hybrid harmony section is in the symmetric system R4I, with 3 roots forming an augmented triad. This is an example of constant chord tension and type, a series of 4 dominant 9 chords. The voice leading is regular and smooth, with correct preparation and resolution of dissonant chordal functions. Here, the hybrid harmony setting involves a diatonic symmetric harmony, positive root cycles with one exception, mostly S9 chord tension and types. We see more irregular voice leading with significant parallel motion. Here's the transformation into a short rock groove piece with annotated condensed score. What we've seen in this 2-episode series is the Schillinger hybrid 4-part harmony technique for writing a series of extended chords. It is based on a 2-layer approach with root in the base and 3-part upper layer. We use a fixed set of 9 chord forms with a tension level between S5 and S13. When writing chord progressions, we may use constant or variable chord tension and type. I discussed voice leading aspects in many examples. Some were regular, with careful and correct dissonant chordal function preparation and resolution. Some displayed clear deviations from the classical idiom. In this episode we also saw alternative transformation options when connecting chords, and the potential danger of parallel dissonance with the bass part. I've demonstrated the application of hybrid harmony in a number of short compositions. Hopefully you now have been inspired to delve into this technique and convinced to experiment with its potential. As I've said before, I myself use hybrid harmony frequently for transitions and modulating sections. It fits perfectly in a more modern idiom in jazz and pop music. So, if you enjoyed watching this video, please subscribe to my channel. Help me to grow an audience. Share and like these tutorials on social media or write a comment below. You may support my efforts by making a donation on my website, where you will also find more content and a number of useful books in the webshop. Thanks for watching.